primary night. Will African-American voters guarantee a big win for her?
Well, I don't want to speak too soon, but I do think she's doing very well with African-American voters. I think even more specifically, the key to this election, the key to this Democratic primary, and I've said it till I was blue in the face and will continue to say it, is African-American women. That is where Hillary Clinton does extremely well, and that's where she will continue to do extremely well. I always say that it's going to be my mom and her friends are going to be the ones who decide this Democratic primary. Yeah. And those women are supporting Hillary Clinton in this election. Even here in South Carolina, we're seeing that. We're seeing that outpouring of support, and we look we look forward here in South Carolina to having the next 2 weeks of nothing but excitement and Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders tearing up the roads here.
Well, Hillary Clinton had a, shall we say, unique moment on the campaign trail today. Let's listen.
They actually, with a straight face, say that the Great Recession was caused by too much regulation on Wall Street. They actually say that. You know, I remember when, you know, I've supported my husband through all of his races in Arkansas. And one of my favorite political ads of all time was a radio ad, rural Arkansas, where the announcer said, wouldn't it be great if somebody running for office said something, we could have an immediate reaction as to whether it was true or not? Well, we've trained this dog, and the dog, if it's not true, he's going to bark. And then the dog was barking on the radio. And so, you know, people were like barking at each other for days after that. I'm trying to figure out how we can do that with the Republicans. You know, we need to get that dog and follow them around, and every time they say these things, like, oh, you know, the Great Recession was caused by too much regulation, arf, 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 you know?
Charles, whoa, be nice now. Don't come to me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming to you. You said people were asking you, they were saying, is Hillary barking at me? I mean, is she finding her, is this her groove, you think?
Well, that certainly sounds like a comfortable person.
Yeah.
Right? I do think that she is experiencing some comfort going into South Carolina, less in Nevada, however, where the polls seem to show that the races may be getting a little bit tighter. But as Bakari says, I mean, there are 55% of the people who voted in the Democratic primary in 2008 in South Carolina were black.
Yeah.
There are fewer young voters in South Carolina than in Iowa and New Hampshire. Only about 14% in South Carolina will be below the age of 30. There are more women voters in South Carolina than in Iowa and in New Hampshire. In 2008, only 39% of the people who voted in the South Carolina Democratic primary were men. All of those factors kind of give her a slight edge.
Yeah. Bill, I have to ask you about, before we move on, she has had, I guess the criticism has been that she's too buttoned up sometimes. She seemed programmed. And for her to be out there, barking on the campaign trail now, that is a sign of some degree of comfort, or a higher degree of comfort.
Let me just say it's a side of Hillary Clinton I've never seen before. I don't think any of us have ever seen before, and it's good to see her loosen up. It is good to see her loosen up a little bit. Maybe she's got to do more of that. But let me just jump in, if I can, about South Carolina.
Yep,
the gentleman you have there can speak much better, of course, to the African-American vote than I ever could. But I'm glad Charles mentioned Nevada, because I think what happens in Nevada could have a big impact. Bernie Sanders has some advantages in Nevada, right? It is 20% Latino, it's 13%, I believe, 14% African-American, but it's a caucus state. People can register on the same day. Bernie has a huge operation there. He's spending a lot of time there. And if he does well, if he wins, if he does very well in Nevada, I think that will give him a real boost in South Carolina. Look, we all know it's an uphill battle for him there. I think he's made some inroads with some younger endorsements like Killer Mike and Ta-Nehisi Coates and Ben Jealous. And I would go so far as to say Bernie Sanders.
Sure that he said that it was not an endorsement.
Yeah, I know,
but
what he said. If somebody says they're going to vote for you, as far as I'm concerned, that's an endorsement.
Bill Press recognized Killer Mike tonight. That's a great night.
Oh, come on, everybody knows Killer Mike.
Yeah,
it's a great night.
It's a great endorsement. But I just want to say, so I'd go so far as to say that Hillary will probably win South Carolina. Bernie is not going to lose it by 22 points. That's my prediction.
I think
it's going to tighten up.
I think that's probably true.
Do you think, Bakari, I want to ask you, when we said it was more importance. We'd been saying it's more importance on the vote now on what you take into the voting booth with you because of the Supreme Court justice decision now. Do you think African Americans in South Carolina takes that into the